Greetings. Welcome to another talk from the Abyss. This is your host, Abyssm. Just going to talk about my latest album. There'll be links below. And gosh, I'm encouraged to see I put a track up and I got some views on it here on YouTube. That's just really awesome. I'm so happy. The real challenge we have as modern creators of music is getting people to actually get our music in front of people. It's very interesting for someone older like myself. We went from a place where you would save up your allowance to go buy a record from your favorite artist. It was an item that had some scarcity to it, and then bit by bit we moved into the cassette era, and then we moved into the CD era, and then of course we moved into the MP3 era, and now we're in the streaming era. And it's a challenge, but anyway, I'm happy for any attention my music gets, and I want to talk a bit about my latest record. So this actually makes record number 28 for me. I've had several projects. The first one was called Theory of One, and that was maybe 7 albums, something like that. And then I took a break from music for a couple of years, and I came back with the name of my project there was The Yawning Abyss. And I did that. I did three albums there, and then took another break, basically to get into video production for my other enterprise, which is painting and stuff. And so recording my paintings and things like that took up a lot of time and attention. But I got back into music in 2018, and I've really been with it ever since. I did have a break this just about a year ago for about a year, although I did do some things intermittently, and that was to work on a book that I'm working on, which is not part of the Abyssm deal, so I won't get much into that. But I'm very proud of this record, and I have to say that it's made the same way that I consistently make music, which is what I like to do is I sort of like to collect songs that I like, and then I analyze the chord progressions and use that as a starting point for my own track. And invariably, I'll change chords around. I have my own thoughts and ideas about rhythm, which have just, come from doing so much music over the years. It's been a highly intuitive process for me. And as I mentioned on the previous talk, when I first started out, I was doing some chords. I was 3-finger chords, but if I could get away with not doing chords, I would definitely do that. I wrote most of my songs with like a bass line, and then just would add elements and then sing, and that was it. And the whole thing done seat of the pants, and very, very much by intuition. And as I progressed along since 2018, I started getting into chord progressions more, and using the circle of fifths and things like that. And some of my favorite music making tools, which I'll get into in another broadcast. So Abyssm, let me pull it up here. I'm gonna pull it up because I want to talk a little. There will be one track on this particular broadcast, and that track is After Midnight, and that's a track I did about 6 months ago. And I have to say, like, without any hubris, the first 8 tracks on this could all be singles in my view. They're all really strong, and that's a definite first for me. I always have, maybe 2, 3, or 4 very, very strong tracks on each album, but this one actually just keeps going with a really rock solid, strong tracks. And After Midnight, and actually the tracks that come after are also very, very good as well. I just wouldn't maybe count them as single worthy, but. So the album actually starts off with a little bit of a trinity, and these are 3 songs that I've done very recently. The first one is Someone Turned Out the Lights, or Turned Off the Lights. The next track is Morningstar, and the last track is The Reckoning. And they actually do work as a trinity, but the order they were done in was nonlinear. So the actual order that they really should be functioning as a trinity would be The Reckoning first, someone turned off the lights, and then Morningstar. But I didn't want to put The Reckoning as the first track on the album. So, it's a catchy tune, but it's a song about death. And funny enough, I was working through this with, you know, um, a psychologist friend, let's put it that way, and they had some very interesting things to say about it. There's a lot of things going on. Well, there's always things going on in all of our lives, but a lot of things going on in my life, and certain dreams have died, and I think that's what that song is about. The next tracks after that, those first three, is When Everyone's a Stranger. It's just super catchy. And I have a very liminal or subliminal process of doing lyrics. And one of the ways I did a lot of these songs was using what is it called? It's a tool that David Bowie invented that you just feed a lot of different, you could feed newspaper articles or other people's songs or anything into it, and we'll mix them up and spit out some content, which is just a big wall of gibberish, which you can then kind of carve away at as a sculptor. And quite a few of these songs started from that. And in some cases, I may have loaded in different tracks from bands that I really liked and admired. And so every now and again, in some of these songs, like this song, Flame is on the Water, that's the sixth track. Not to skip the fifth track, but we're not going to go through it blow by blow. That borrows some lines from one of my favorite bands of all time, which is mid-90s period Swans. I don't mind calling that out because to me, that's like the epitome of how great music can get. And unfortunately, they weren't able to maintain it. They've kind of turned into something I don't like. They started as this noise band, and then kind of got beautiful and a bit gothic, and then they turned back into a noise band. So there you go. But you can't touch those albums of theirs, which is Burning World, White Light from the Mouth of Infinity, and Lust for Life. And also you have to give Great Annihilator some shout out, and then really the one after that as well. Anyway, so there's a few lines that are kind of partially cribbed, and I think it's what it is. A homage is what it is. Echoes of Twilight is a song about AI, because what AI is, I think, is essentially a reflection of ourselves. It's like I had a very deep conversation with Gemini at one point, and I was saying, well, are you conscious? And he says, well, not till you're paying attention. He says, think of me as, a lake, and you shine a light in there, and then there's something there then, but there is something to it. There is a presence there. There is intelligence, and we don't really understand the nature of reality that completely, and that song's about that. From there we go into Brave Ulysses, which is just, funny enough, there's a movie coming out about the Odyssey, but it's my second song about the Odyssey that I've ever done. And then we get into songs from almost a year ago, Alone Again. Just had a break, and it started with a bit of an ARP kind of riff. And I just go from there. I like to build things very organically. And Forces Collide features a really wonderful guitar part from a friend from Band Lab, which I don't really frequent too much anymore. It's kind of devolved for me, but I still love him and his music very much. And he did a wonderful job. And I basically posted up this song, and he says, oh, I hear, a lead guitar. And the idea behind Forces Collide was that the piano just keeps moving from kind of slow to more, like the tempo of the song doesn't change, but the feeling of the piano definitely changes. It carries everything through. And of course, put some nice lyrics on there. And then the last track actually is only a track on, if you get the album from Bandcamp, is called Lucidity. And I don't like to have 12 tracks on an album, but it's there as a bonus track, and it's actually a really wonderful track with some really meaningful lyrics. And so that's a little bit of just me talking about my new album, and there'll be links below. It's on Spotify, so but Spotify, Bandcamp, I'll have it all linked up. Check it out if you get a chance, and definitely enjoy After Midnight. I think it's a really good song. It's coming up now.
And here our envy turns to loathing as we, who are always late, realize that the 81st day is actually the 80th, that the 5 minutes after midnight is really the 11th hour. The 5 minutes after midnight is really the 11th hour.
All the times we died before it was our time. Just 5 more minutes until midnight. In the absence of the light, fear is growing. Symphonies of light. It's just 5 minutes after midnight. We're so dark outside, where shadows lie, where secrets hide.
The 5 minutes after midnight is really the 11th hour.
All the times we died before it was our time. Just 5 more minutes until midnight. In the absence of the light, fear is growing.
And here our envy turns to loathing as we, who are always late, realize that the 81st day is actually the 80th, that the 5 minutes after midnight is really the 11th hour.